You know what they say about loans? A small loan makes a debt, a big one an enemy. And this explains why China is emerging as global villain number one. It has buried countries under loans. There are some in India's neighborhood. Sri Lanka is one. Their Prime Minister says the economy has collapsed. Nepal is struggling. And Pakistan is as good as a Chinese colony now. They're getting another loan worth $2.3 billion. Tonight we want to tell you why this should bother India. Chinese debt bombs create instability in India's neighborhood. But in the case of Pakistan, the threat is bigger. It may have repercussions on India's sovereignty. You may have heard about Hambantota, the port that Sri Lanka had to give up to China when they could not repay loans. What will Pakistan have to give up when it's unable to pay loans? A new report says it could be parts of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Now, Chinese loans, we know, threaten a nation's sovereignty. They leave countries bankrupt. Look at Sri Lanka. Their economy has collapsed. Pakistan could be next. They're neck deep in Chinese debt and they're sinking further. Pakistan is taking another big loan from China. What if we told you that this loan spells more trouble for India? And I'll explain how that does. First, the background. Pakistan is running out of foreign reserves. It needs money to stay afloat, so the Chinese cash may look like a lifesaver, except that it's not. Look at the trade-off. More compromises, more Chinese demands. Pakistan may even have to give up key assets to China if it fails to repay these loans. What kind of assets? What can and will Pakistan give up? According to one report, Gilgit-Baltistan. That's what the report says, that Pakistan could lease Gilgit-Baltistan to settle Chinese debts. Is that even possible? This is Indian territory occupied by Pakistan. Can they lease it to China? How will India see this move? That's what we'll discuss in the next few minutes. First, let's tell you about the loan, the latest one. The new Chinese loan to Pakistan, it's worth $2.3 billion. Pakistan will get this money in a couple of days. From whom? A consortium of Chinese banks. They are giving this loan. And Pakistan desperately needs this money. It's broke. Foreign reserves dropped below $9 billion this month, so they have money to last only 2 months. China has come to their rescue. Pakistan is also seeking money from the IMF, their 22nd bailout, worth $6 billion. But to get this money from IMF, Pakistan will have to fulfill some big demands that the International Monetary Fund has made. And these are tough demands. Number one, Pakistan must share a detailed spending plan for CPEC, that's the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. And number two, Pakistan must give guarantees that IMF money is not used to repay Chinese debt. The idea is clear. Do not spend this money on China, on Chinese projects, on Chinese loans, anything related to China. Why does the IMF need such assurances? Because it knows that China has trapped Pakistan. The debt levels are way too high. Look at the data from their latest economic survey. Pakistan's total debt stands at around $88 billion. How much of this is Chinese debt? $14.5 billion. China is Pakistan's largest bilateral creditor. And this number, $14.5 billion, does not cover China's loans to Pakistan. You see, China has lent to Pakistan through other means too. For instance, Pakistan has borrowed money from Chinese banks. How much? Almost $9 billion. And this money is owed to 3 Chinese commercial banks, the Bank of China, ICBC, and the China Development Bank. And all of them, all these 3, happen to be owned by the Chinese state. Then there's something called SAFE, the State Administration of Foreign Exchange, SAFE. This is a Chinese government agency. It manages China's foreign reserves. SAFE has given loans to Pakistan too. How much? At least $7 billion. So how much does Pakistan really owe China? It's hard to give an accurate figure because money flows through many channels and a lot of it is not transparent. But there are some estimates. Pakistan owes more than $24 billion to China. That's almost 30% of Pakistan's total external debt. 24 billion. And now it is borrowing another $2.3 billion. How will they repay these loans? The IMF won't lend them to repay Chinese loans, and China won't leave them. So how will Pakistan meet its debt obligations? It may have to give up assets, like ceding control of parts of Gilgit-Baltistan. And we are not the ones saying it. This has come from Mumtaz Nagri. He's the chairman of the Karakoram National Movement. It's a local anti-Pakistan group. Now, Nagri says Pakistan could pay off its debt by leasing out Gilgit-Baltistan to China. We haven't been able to independently verify these reports, but if Pakistan does something like this, it is going to be a grave provocation because Gilgit-Baltistan is part of India. And China has repeatedly violated India's sovereignty here with Pakistan's help. China is exploiting Gilgit-Baltistan. It is their gateway to CPEC, the showpiece project of the Belt and Road Initiative, CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. Since 2018, the local population has feared that China wants to grab their land. That's when Pakistan took over 500 acres of land in 2018. Again, this was done in the name of CPEC. What was this land to be used for? A special economic zone, SEZ, to be built by China. Now, the fear is that this zone could be turned into a Chinese colony. The Pakistani army wants to build checkpoints here to guard Chinese investments. The territory was cleared out for China. Thousands of locals were displaced because of this SEZ. Pakistan did not even care to rehabilitate them. The construction of the special economic zone began in 2019. The project is moving at breakneck speed. The last update came in April this year. Pakistani authorities said the SEZ could be operationalized earlier than planned. Again, these projects are being built with Chinese loans, which brings us back to the question, what will happen when Pakistan fails to repay China? Could be a repeat of Sri Lanka. They could not pay Chinese loans, so they had to give up the Hambantota port on a 99-year lease. Pakistan may meet the same fate, giving up control of parts of Gilgit-Baltistan, which is technically a part of India. And that is a threat that Chinese loans pose to India. They're not just destabilizing India's neighborhood, they have the potential to challenge India's sovereignty too.